Welcome back to the Blugold Sports Network, and you hear it on our flagship in Eau Claire, Sports Radio 1400, WBIZ, Sports Radio 1400.com, and iHeartRadio. Today is Hall of Fame Day and homecoming for UW-Eau Claire, and the Blugolds will be inducting 5 members into the Blugolds Hall of Fame. And joining me is Tim Petermann, who handles all of this. Tim, first of all, thank you again for joining me this year.
Very happy to do this. I love doing this, to be able to talk about some of our Blugold alums.
I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start by asking, first of all, your involvement in the Hall of Fame, the Blugolds Hall of Fame. Describe your role and what you do for this.
Okay. I guess I serve pretty much as the executive director of the Hall of Fame, so I'm involved in lining up people for making the selections, contacting the individuals, getting the plaques made, the banquet program taken care of, the script written for the presenters, and pretty much trying to get everything coordinated so that it's a special day for these athletes that are coming back and being recognized.
And it certainly is a special day, and we'll talk a bit about the changes in just a second, but one of the big ones, obviously, is that Homecoming Weekend and Hall of Fame Weekend now the same weekend, so that is interesting this year.
It is. It's a return to that. There was a time where we did that on the same weekend. The thought process at one time was that maybe we would move it away from homecoming because there were so many things going on, and we wanted to make the Hall of Fame the focus of it. But I think we're capturing a lot of things and making it a big part of homecoming this year. So it's nice to return to homecoming, and these athletes have a lot of friends and alumni who come back for homecoming, and now they can be recognized in front of them.
Let's recognize the class of 2014, the UW-Eau Claire Blugold Hall of Fame class of 2014. Tim, go ahead and talk about this year's inductees.
Okay, I'm very impressed with this class. Each year it gets harder for the selection committee, but we have people who were outstanding athletes. There's no question about their athletic ability while they were here, but they've also done some significant things once they left the institution, and their service to country and community and to their fellow citizens has been outstanding. We have 2 football players that we're putting in. They are the 2 oldest of the inductees this year. In fact, we go all the way back to the 1950s to pick up one of them, Bill Perkins. And Bill was a 2-time all-conference athlete back when there was not an offensive and defensive all-conference team. There was only one. So to make it 2 years in a row is pretty impressive. In addition, he was the MVP his senior year as a player. He was a wide receiver and also did some punting. After he left the institution, he went on to do some significant work in the field of cancer research and worked with a number of pharmaceutical companies on pancreatic and breast cancer research. And he retired in 2005, and he wasn't done serving then. Now he is chairman of the board for Patriot Paws, which is a service organization that provides service dogs for veterans, disabled veterans returning, some that have PSTD, and he's still chairman of the board of that, so very actively involved. The other football player that we're putting in from the 1970s was Tyrone Cooper, who came to us from Chester, Pennsylvania, was all-conference 2 times in football, probably would have been a 3rd time except he was injured his junior year and only made the 2nd team then when he didn't play out the full season. He was a tight end, and if you can believe this, as a tight end, he averaged over 20 yards per catch for his career, and he was very consistent. He had 5 touchdown catches in each of his final 3 seasons as a Blugold. Now, when Tyrone left here, he taught for a while, but then he went into the military. He served in the U.S. Army for 26 years. He had 6 tours in Desert Storm, Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Russia, and South America, awarded 2 Bronze Stars and 4 Meritorious Service Medals. So very impressive in service to his country. We are putting in a set of softball players who were the battery on a very successful era of Blugold softball back in the late 1990s. Heidi Bergstrom Kelly and Lisa Schuler. Heidi was the pitcher and Lisa was the catcher. They both were all-conference multiple times. In fact, Heidi was all-conference every year, including her freshman year. Both were All-Americans. Lisa was the Conference Player of the Year as a senior. Both helped us get to the national tournament 4 times in a row. The team finished 4th twice. I mean, their overall record during the 4 years they were here was 144-53. Just very outstanding. Heidi now works for Land O'Lakes as a lab technician, and important work, obviously, in the food industry, and she's working on a master's in food science from Kansas State right now. And Lisa works for BMO Harris in Monona Grove. She's been very actively involved in BMO Harris's community affairs, working with the March of Dimes and the United Way, so doing a lot of giving back from her point of view as well. And the 5th person that we're putting in is a swimmer, Bill Underwood. He was a 11-time All-American, 9-time conference champion. He swam distance events from 200 to 1,650, and when he was part of the team, the coach called it the Underwood years. We won 4 consecutive conference championships and finished in the top 6 every year at nationals. Now, he graduated summa cum laude from the university, went on to get his law degree from the University of Oregon School of Law, and is currently senior counsel for Target Corporation. And his giving back has involved several foundations that he's been involved in, and also he served on the board for Theater La Di Da for 11 years, including 7 of them, I believe, as president. So these people were outstanding athletes, and also, like I said, did some fantastic things once they left the institution. We're very proud of being able to put them in the Hall of Fame this year.
Tim Petermann from the UW-Eau Blugold's Hall of Fame on with me here on the Water Cooler on Sports Radio 1400. Tim, we've talked now about the members of the class. We talked a bit about the process and a bit of the changes, but we're not gonna make this apparent to people, usually on a radio interview, but we're actually doing this in advance of Saturday. And so some of the things that have happened now, because now we're in the 11 o'clock hour, of course, but there's a dinner, a banquet, there's a parade that we just mentioned a bit ago that the Hall of Fame class got to take part in, be a part of that parade. How have these changes been received, and what was the idea behind making these changes?
Well, our new athletic director came in with some ideas from other schools that he's been at, and that was something we had never asked the question, but when we approached the homecoming committee, they were fine with being able to put the Hall of Famers in the parade, and that just gives them some extra recognition, brings some more focus to the Hall of Fame banquet on homecoming weekend. So I think it's a real good touch. I suppose they probably would have preferred that we have a warmer weekend than what we're having, but you can't control that.
Yeah, it's Wisconsin, and they're used to it. Yeah, it's very exciting. Homecoming is always a lot of fun here in Eau Claire, and I'm sure for everybody that's involved with it, it's just an interesting dynamic as homecoming takes a lot of the current events and the current student body, and they get them out, and they get them excited for the game. And then you bring in people who have been here and attended the university, as you said, going all the way back to the 50s to bring them in. So you have kind of the past and present all at the same time when you combine these events.
Well, it is interesting. When I went back and looked at what the campus looked like, for instance, when Bill Perkins was an athlete here, and their practice field was right on Lower Campus where the current student union sits, and everybody could see him practicing. There was a lot. The student body and the athletes maybe interacted a little more than they do now because of the fact that it was a smaller student body and they were more visible because of that. In fact, back in 1959, when Bill was a senior, he was the homecoming king because that's what the football team did. They selected somebody from the team to be the homecoming king. So it's appropriate to have this group back on homecoming for their induction.
It is a very exciting time. The Hall of Fame, the UW-Eau Blugold's Hall of Fame, has a lot of great names and a lot of recognizable names. And as you said, this year's class, the one key thing I took away from the piece was that, like a lot of years, what these people have done on the field is certainly remarkable. But it's what all of these former student athletes have done beyond that, whether it's been in education or with their professional careers, and making impacts in their communities. And that seems to be kind of the motto and the mantra of the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire is what people do beyond what they do here at the university, what they do in their communities, and what they do to help other people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of the thinking with providing an intercollegiate athletic program is that they learn a lot of skills that they can take into their professions, whatever they might be, particularly in areas of organization and leadership and, perseverance, dedication. Those are all important to employers, and they can learn that, and they have learned that participating in athletics.
Tim, it's been great talking to you and getting to know more about the Blugold's Hall of Fame class for 2014. If people want to learn more, they can go to blugolds.com and view the bios of all of the Hall of Fame classes. You can also find out how to get involved in all the fundraisers and events that go on with the Blugold's Hall of Fame, again, at blugolds.com. Tim Petermann, thank you for your time, and looking forward to a lot of fun this weekend with homecoming and the Hall of Fame weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. That is Tim Petermann again from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. You are listening to the Blugold Sports Network. We'll have more on Sports Radio 1400 WBIZ, Sports Radio 1400.com, and iHeartRadio right after this.